We are CrashSafe Group, and I'm Kirill Belous, and I work on setting up the database and populating it with data, writing Selenium tests, and a little bit front end.
I'm Greg. I helped with setting up the AWS hosting, development ops, like setting up Docker containers and all the makefile recipes, helped with backend testing and building the database.
I'm Grant. I created most of what you see on the front end, and I helped a little with the AWS deployment.
I'm Brandon. I made the bulk of the backend API. I did some of the testing for the backend, and I worked on research of our API sources and the database.
Hey, my name is Darren, and I worked on the crash test model instance and helped with some front-end work, as well as some data collection and visualizations.
Hi guys, I'm Alisha. I mainly worked with the database and gathering data from our sources and making sure everything in our database was set up correctly.
I'll go ahead and give a quick demonstration on how our website works. So here's our homepage, which features our global search. The search will search across all 4 of our models, which include car brand, car model, crash test, and a crash test provider. Clicking on car brand, you'll see our grid view layout. Here you can page across the different car brands, change the page size, search, filter. You can sort, for example, by descending safety rating. And you can add up to 4 car brands to compare. Clicking on a car brand, you'll see our car brand instance page. For example, this is the Lexus instance page. It shows some information about the brand, links to their website and Twitter, all the car models on our site associated with this brand, crash test providers that have tested this brand, and a recent Twitter feed. If you go over to our car model page, you'll see our table view. Here, each instance is represented by a table row. Again, you can page across, change the page size, search, filter by any attribute, and sort. And here, you can compare up to 6 objects. When you select a car model, you'll go to the car model instance page. Here you'll see a photo of the car, specs and information about it, some safety ratings, recent Twitter feed from the manufacturer, and all the crash tests that involve this car. That takes us to the crash test page. As you can see, we use our table layout here. And I'll go ahead and show an example of a crash test instance page. We show the variables from the test, the company performing it and the cars used, a gallery of images from the test itself, and the ability to download the video of the test straight from the NHTSA database that we pull from. Now here's our test provider page. Just like the car brand page, we use our grid table layout here. When you go to the instance page for a crash test provider, you'll see information from the company, including its location on a map, its recent Twitter feed, links to its website and Twitter, and internal links to all the car models that they've tested and the crash tests that they've performed. Kirill will go over our visualizations later, so I'll show you our About page. This shows the team and what we each did, has links to the database resources that we used to pull our data, our documentation for our API, and all the different tools we used to make it all happen.
I'm going to do a quick demonstration of the search functionality on our website. Now, right off the bat, you can see that we have a global search bar on our homepage. You can search anything from here, including brands, models, crash test data, and test providers. I'm going to search Acura here, for example, and you can see that I get brand, model, and crash test results based on my input. On the pages using the grid view, we have multiple search boxes to allow searching for results based on year founded, model count, user rating, and safety rating. For example, here I can search for HO, and I get results for Holden, Honda, and Thomas. This works similarly for our test providers page, which uses the same grid view. On the pages that use the table view, you can either use column-based filters to search within a certain field, or you can use the global search that searches across all available fields. Notice that we also highlight the searched keywords accordingly. This was done as a response to a user story submitted by one of our clients.
For our website visualizations, we made 3 graphs, with the first one being average vehicle safety rating by year, where, as you can see, we didn't have any data up until year 1994, after which the safety ratings would rise almost every year, with the 2020 miles being the safest. Next, we have average vehicle rating by type, where again we didn't have data for all of the types, but you can see that the safest types would be truck, 3-door coupe, and convertible. And last we have make rating versus model rating graph, where y-axis represents the make rating and x-axis represents the model rating.
For our provider's visualization, danger zone, we first started with the visualization of the population size of cities in their database across the country. So if you look at this map, you can hover over all the different cities. The size of the circle around the city represents how large it is compared to all the other cities. So for example, you can see here that Chicago has 2.7 million residents. New York is by far the largest with 8.4 million citizens. And you can see like Austin down here, much smaller, just about 800,000. Our next visualization was plotting the air pollution versus life expectancy. We were sort of expecting to see that cities with lower air pollution would have a higher life expectancy, but by looking at the plot, you can see that there isn't really any clear correlation between those two variables. Our last visualization is this plot of the murder rates by city. So you can see the larger the circle is, the higher the murder rate is. You can see Austin down here, which is smaller than some comparably sized cities like Orlando or Miami, but still larger than some others like Charlotte.
So for our self-critique section, the things that we did well were we did a good job of planning ahead and figuring out what each person was going to do that phase. And we did that through meetings at the start of every phase in the GitLab issue tracker. We worked together well to solve issues and bugs, and we implemented an effective search throughout the site. The things that we learned were we learned how to create a database and API and have our site pull from it, how to scrape data from other websites' APIs, how to use AWS, and how to set up tests to make sure our website worked correctly, and how to use GitLab CI. The things that we taught each other were we taught each other how to communicate effectively and directly, how to recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses so everyone was doing what they're best at, and we taught each other how to collaborate effectively in a large group since we had 6 people. Things we could have done better were we could have made sure that every member of the team could work on all parts of the site and understood everything that was going on instead of just understanding the section that they created and worked on. We could have figured out how to get some pages to load faster, and we could have gotten the front end looking more unified across all model pages since we had 2 different kinds of model pages. And we could have also found more data sources to fill in blanks in our site because for old models and old card brands, it was hard to find data from our sources about them. So the CAPME peer reviews allowed us to realize and fix our mistakes. And if we did get a positive review, it let us feel recognized for our work. And it was good motivation to keep working as hard as we have been. And the reviews being after every phase let us see if the changes we implemented based on our previous reviews had worked and improved group cohesion. Things that still confuse us are D3 because there wasn't much documentation surrounding it. We couldn't really figure out how to get videos embedded in our site, and we also had some inconsistent bugs like pages not loading sometimes.
Okay, so I'll be doing the critique of our provider Danger Zone. So Danger Zone's site is about health, crime, and climate data for various cities in order to give you a sense of the dangers you may find in these cities. So if we look at their site, you'll see that they have models for various different types of data, and in each model you can see various different cities. If we click on these cities, you can get various stats about them like population, time zone, or climate data for various seasons. So things they did well, they had a good unified aesthetic, They had good attributes for each of their model's data, and they had good explanation of each of these attributes, particularly in the health section where some of their attributes are quite complicated. Their API gives good access to all their data, but the format could have been better. In particular, we would have liked the ability to combine filters together instead of only using one filter at a time, and the documentation was out of date, which made it confusing to use at times. By phase 4, most of our user stories were implemented. However, this was not the case in all phases, and many times our user stories were not implemented or only partly implemented. In particular, we still have not seen embedded media, which we have been requesting for multiple phases. We would have liked that they had included a more complete data set, as many of the cities in their database have no data on certain models. Their site's search bar currently does not appear to be working, and their crime model does not appear to be working right now. And there are some things that puzzle us about the site. For example, the model pages have images that don't appear to have any relevance to the model, to the city being shown. There's no indication of how many pages there are in each model. The instance pages have no embedded media. And when data is missing, it shows up as -1 instead of something more user-friendly like not available or just not showing that data.